Welcome back. Now, loneliness is a universal human experience and combating it requires proactive measures. Joining us now is clinical psychologist Slee, who is back to provide us with a few practical tips to help alleviate the burden of loneliness and that feeling of isolation. Slee, what is the difference between isolation and loneliness? Because it often gets mixed up and confused. Yes.
So isolation is really when you feel or you are removed from other people around you.
Okay.
Right? So it can be sort of being physically outside of the space of people.
Alienated, perhaps.
Perhaps alienated.
Okay.
Perhaps sometimes it's just, you know, you might isolate for certain reasons. You might feel overstimulated, might just need a bit of time alone. So you can kind of have solitude in a way.
Okay, so it can be a choice.
So it can be a choice.
So, like JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So you can isolate and it's JOMO, but for some people it can be the FOMO. The loneliness part, I think, comes in that it's this feeling that you are distressed by being isolated from other people. So there's something about being separated from other people, might be even in the presence of other people, but I subjectively feel disconnected from them.
Okay.
Right. So the loneliness aspect is that I feel somehow removed from people, but with the isolation, it can be, you know, a bit of a choice to kind of remove yourself.
You're explaining that so beautifully. So I want to ask you then, what would connection then mean?
Right.
What connection means?
Connection, in contrast with that, you know, connection is where you feel a meaningful sense of being bonded with people.
Yes.
So even if you are isolated, for example, you might still feel a very strong sense that you're connected to the ones that you love. So they may be far away, but you actually still feel a sense that I am bonded with them and I have meaningful relationship with them. Yeah.
I'm sure you agree that, you know, we can't remain victims in our lives and we've got to be active. And so when we do find ourselves in these positions, we've got to do what we need to do. We've got to hack our health so that we feel good and we feel healthy. What are some of the tips that you encourage when it comes to feeling isolated, feeling lonely, having no control over it? What are the things that you can do to hack to make yourself feel better?
Yes, I mean, I'm glad you said that because the point that you make is that it's going to take some effort. Yeah. So sometimes, the main thing I would say that really gets people into a state of feeling very, very lonely is that sometimes it's very difficult to reach out. So reaching out is incredibly important. And it's usually the hardest thing to do, to just say, hey, can you have a coffee with me?
Yes.
You know, oh, hey, I'm not feeling okay. Yeah. So the reaching out is incredibly important. And you can do that, you know, with, you can reach out as well via your social media. You can sort of reach out even go and visit people. Yeah. But I think it's very important to do the reaching out part. I also think it's very key, as another tip, to encourage socializing as much as you can. And by that, I also mean not only through the internet, via social media, but to do it in person.
Okay.
The in-person connection is very, very important. Also try connecting via, by being in nature. And not just, you know, sometimes it's connecting with other people, but feeling connected through nature is also very, very, I think it's a very healthy way to respond sometimes to not feeling at ease within oneself. But otherwise, I mean, it's very key things like developing an interest or finding out what your interests are. You know, if you used to play tennis a long time ago, if you really used to enjoy taking walks, get outside as much as possible and find something that you are interested in doing. I recently discovered tufting. A friend of mine found out about tufting online.
Tufting? What is that?
It's sort of like sewing, but you do it with a little sewing gun.
Oh, wow.
And then you create something that's like a tapestry, and you can hang it up. So things like that, where if you discover something, invite a friend, hey, let's go and try this.
Yes.
But yeah, I think just all of those together, connecting with nature, making the effort, and meeting people in person.
Yes.
That is key.
I love that. And, you know, if only we realize that reaching out and asking for help is such a strength and not a weakness. And that's why if you look at, you know, social media's got its ins and outs, its good and its bads. But one of the things that I really appreciate about social media are people that come on there and that are so beautifully vulnerable about not having it together. And those are the people that we connect with because we realize then that we are more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And so reaching out and asking for help truly is a strength.
Absolutely. And you can find that even within your neighborhood, there are these interest groups that, you know, that you have. But that connection through social media, really key as well.
I love that. I love joining a group. Thank you so much, Slee. If you or anyone that you know needs help, please do visit SADC's website, and you can find them at www.sadc.com, or you can contact their toll-free helpline on 0800 567 567. It's important that you take action if nothing is feeling good or that you're not feeling better. Get help.